the last 12 weeks have been awful. They have been objectively appalling. We have lost people we didn't need to lose. The international comparisons made this clear weeks ago, which is roughly when they stopped sharing them with you and insisting that you don't look over there, look over there. The chief advisor to the Prime Minister lied to you about why he drove to Barnard Castle. Nobody drives to a tourist spot on their wife's birthday to test their eyesight. You know that, I know that. But they hold us now in such incredibly low regard that they think they can tell us that they were driving their car to test their eyes and that we'll believe it. Actually, worse than that, they know that they can claim they were driving their car to test their eyes and still not get called out by many, 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 many members of my profession. And this is the profession that essentially handles the passage of politics to the people. It's the vessel by which politics reaches the people, and it's a very, very distorting lens. If I'd said to you 5 years ago that, or imagine if Tony Blair was in charge and Alistair Campbell claimed that he'd gone for a drive against government guidelines in order to test his eyesight, the whole government would have gone up in flames. But that's what happens when you elect a joker. You get a tragedy. When you put liars in charge, the lies don't disappear or dilute. They get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you arrive here today. Tens of thousands of lives could have been saved by an earlier lockdown. Boris Johnson's still claiming he's done a really good job. Would you have more or less confidence in his ability to handle the next 12 weeks if he started telling you the truth about the last 12 weeks? And if you'd have less confidence, I kind of get it, actually, because we've all done that, haven't we? We've all done that since February. We've all sat there thinking, this doesn't look good, but my God, I hope I'm wrong. I can't think of anybody worse to be in charge, but hey, you know, maybe a leopard can change his spots. When he was Mayor of London, this was the one I did most internally. When he was Mayor of London, he surrounded himself with, you know, vaguely efficient people. I used to be told by right up to Deputy Mayor level that Boris never actually does anything. We do all the hard work, and that was quite comforting in the context of coronavirus, because you thought, well, hopefully he'll surround himself with effective, efficient people. And then you remember who the Home Secretary is, and the Foreign Secretary, and the Secretary of State for Education, and the Secretary of State for Defence, and the Secretary of State for International Trade. And we haven't even mentioned Michael Gove. So the idea that he would be surrounded by colleagues who would be able to camouflage his incompetence was clearly never going to float. Man, this is a sad day.
I believe it's this tribalism that was reinforced with Brexit, the polarization of society, where you either support Boris Johnson or you are against Boris Johnson. It's not actually whether you like Boris Johnson or not, because there are people who don't like Boris Johnson but are willing to support him. And both Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings understand this. They understand that they have been given a license to do as they please. Boris Johnson has ignored on numerous occasions natural disasters. He has ignored important Cobra meetings. During the floods, he was AWOL. And of course, recently the issue surrounding his chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, who broke the rules and wasn't punished for it. He was defended. And now you have the chief nurse of the NHS being excluded from these daily briefings, not because she actually criticized Dominic Cummings, but because she didn't defend Dominic Cummings. Why the hell is Dominic Cummings so important? What sway does Dominic Cummings have over Boris Johnson? And we've seen countless commentators jumping to Dominic Cummings' defense. Why are they doing this? Because they have to defend the team. Team Boris. Boris needs to be defended. Anyone surrounding Boris needs to be defended. It doesn't matter what they did. It doesn't matter if they broke the rules. It doesn't matter if it's complete hypocrisy. We have to defend the team. Now, in respect to Boris Johnson defending himself, saying that he has done nothing wrong and he did the best he could, when I was sitting here in Italy and the pandemic was enveloping the country and there were a number of cases starting to appear in the UK, I honestly believed, naively, even taking into consideration how much I know about Boris Johnson, I truly, and hand on heart, I truly believed that because the UK had seen what happened in Italy, they would be able to act proactively and mitigate any damage or some of the damage this pandemic was going to inflict upon the UK. By looking across the sea and seeing what was happening in Italy, to see that and say, we need to plan. In a way, Italy was extremely unfortunate because it was the first country hit pretty much in Europe by this pandemic. So they were playing catch up, while the UK had a number of weeks to look on, plan, and avoid the mistakes that Italy had made. And even when they were ignoring the lockdown in other countries, they were ignoring the advice from the World Health Organization. And I was sitting here pleading with the UK government to impose a lockdown, to impose mask wearing. I was asking, of course they weren't listening to me, I'm just a YouTuber, but I was hoping that someone would eventually hear something, this would have an effect. Then Boris Johnson himself got infected, went into intensive care, experienced it for himself. And I remember uploading a video and talking about this and hoping that this would be his road to Damascus experience. This would be the turning point for him. He would come out of the hospital. He would say, or at least think, we can't continue down this way. We can't ignore this problem. We need to truly deal with it. And I was wrong. He had no conversion. He had no change of heart. It's all about protecting him, his career, him politically, his government. And unfortunately, going forward, it's going to be more of the same. I'm naive in a sense that I'm hoping to find something good in people and hoping that there is some good in people, that they will change, that they will realize that they made mistakes and they will try to fix the problems that they have created. But with Boris Johnson, I try and I'm exposed to be a fool because I continue to believe that he's capable of changing, that he's capable of admitting when he has made a mistake, when he has done something wrong. But of course he's not. And he will not change. He will not admit when he has made mistakes. He has decided he is going to be right, everyone else is going to be wrong, and anyone who disagrees with him is going to be removed from their position. And sadly, more people who are not part of Boris Johnson's party are going to suffer because of his actions, or lack of action. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun? If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.